Now, once upon a time, long, long ago, so long ago that no one's quite sure if it really happened or not, in a little kingdom far, far away, so far away that no one's quite sure if it was really there or not. There was an old soldier who'd been at the wars for 25 years, and he thought that it was time to come home and rest his bones and to take over the family farm that was his by rights as the eldest son. But when he got home, he discovered that his two younger brothers had taken over the farm. And the two younger brothers, well, they'd never liked him. Well, perhaps they'd liked him, just they hadn't liked the fact that he'd beaten them and been generally horrible to them. And anyone who's got an older brother will know the sort of things they were thinking. And they said it was their farm now and he could bugger off. Well, there were two of them and one of him, and he didn't really feel like fighting anymore. So he went to the priest, and the priest said, well, I don't know, you've been away for so long, I don't know. I think it's better as it is. And then he went to see the lord of the manor in his hall. And well, the lord of the manor was sitting there with a dairymaid on his lap and wasn't very interested. But eventually he understood that this rough man was there because he wanted him to kick out two of his best tenants so that he could take over their farm just because he was the eldest son and he hadn't been there. And he just told him to bugger off. So the old soldier walked off. He didn't know what to do. And as he was walking, he saw a man in a green coat approaching. Now, there was something about this man that made him feel that he wasn't entirely human. Perhaps it was the cleft feet. Perhaps it was the hint of horns coming out of the forehead, or the little tail peeking out from behind, or the sulphurous breath. But old Nick said, you're in want of gold, and I'm in want of the man in want of gold who is brave. Are you brave, man? And the man said, of course I'm brave, I'm a soldier. Look behind you, said old Nick, and he turned, and just in time, for a great bear was charging down upon him. Well, quick as a flash, our friend took out his knife and battled with the bear and killed it. You are a brave man, said old Nick. Now my offer to you is this. I will lend you my green coat and you will wear it. And in the pocket you will always find it to be full of money, full of gold pieces. But you must also wear the skin of that bear, and you must not wash, you must not brush or comb your hair, you must not cut your fingernails. If you can survive for 7 years, all the wealth in the world will be yours. But, if you don't survive, your soul will be mine. Now the soldier thought that he'd survived 25 years in the wars and he could survive 7 years, especially with gold in his pocket. But then he had a thought and he said, well, yes, but on one condition. I don't want the pockets full of gold. They'll weigh me down. I want just 3 gold pieces, but always replenished. Old Nick nodded, and the soldier put on the green coat and skinned the bear and put it on him. Now, to begin with, he didn't have too bad a time, for he could still go to respectable places. though after a few days the bear began to smell and he had to go to lower and lower dives. Now, those were the sorts of places where it was dangerous having gold. So he tried to sort of separate the gold pieces around and hide them, but somehow or other, they always seemed to migrate back into the same pocket and to chink just at the wrong time. Or even sometimes he'd see them sort of peek. He'd be sitting by a fire with some travelers and he would see them staring, and he'd look down and see that there was a gold coin peeping out of his pocket and push it back, and many was the scrap he got into. But he was a soldier, and he knew how to fight. After a few years, he was tired and weary, and it was a hard, hard winter. Well, he thought he could do with a bit of a rest. And he went to an inn, a lonely inn in the middle of nowhere, for by this stage, he had to avoid old towns and villages and places where inhabitants might see him, because they would set the dogs on him. They would chase him with sticks and stones. They wouldn't want this strange bear creature near them. So he went to this inn and he waited until he saw the innkeeper and beckoned to him. And the innkeeper didn't want to come close, but then he took out 3 gold pieces. And the innkeeper had not seen gold for many a year. And, well, the innkeeper was also quite kindly, and they came to an agreement. And the man in bearskin was given a nice, comfortable room in return for the gold pieces for a month, but he was not to show his face abroad. And he was brought food day in, day out. After a couple of weeks, one night he heard a soft sobbing from the room next door of a man in distress. And he went next door and knocked and asked what was the matter. And there was a broken man there who didn't really notice who he was, but told his tragic story. He had 3 daughters, and he had never been a good businessman, and he'd inherited plenty of money, but it was all spent, and the debts had added up. And he really, once the debts were paid, and paid they must be, he would have nothing and less than nothing, and he and his 3 daughters would be kicked out. And he had been traveling to see if he could find his brother. But he had heard the day before that his brother was dead, and now he had no money to pay the inn and no money to get home. He didn't know what to do. At this, our friend brought a bottle, for a drink is always a good thing. And I hope you'll all join me with another drink. Well, how much money do you need? Oh, don't ask for more money really than, it's an awful lot of money. And the man in bearskin took out gold piece after gold piece until the man's eyes grew wider, and he said, that is enough. And he said, you must come home and choose one of my daughters to be your wife. Dear good friend. So back they went. Now I'm afraid the first daughter took one look and said, I'm not marrying him. He's smelly. And the second walked out of the room. And the second daughter, well, she took a look and said, he's smelly and he's hairy and he's filthy. I'm not marrying that creature, Daddy. You must be out of your mind. Stupid Daddy. They weren't nice to their Daddy. And she went out of the room. And the last one, a very, very pretty one, she said, well, Daddy, if this is our Savior and you say he is a good man, then I will marry him. At this, the man in bearskin cried, and he took out a gold coin from his pocket, and he ripped it in 2. On one half, he wrote beauty, and he put it on a gold chain around her neck. And on the other half, he wrote beast. and he put it round his neck. I will be back in 3 years' time. Do not wait for me more than 4 years, though, for then I will surely be dead. Well, the man in bearskin had a very, very, very difficult 3 years, but he survived and he returned. But before he returned, he met his old friend, old Nick, and old Nick was furious. And he said, give me back my jacket. I'll give you back your jacket, but I want that limitless wealth, and I want a bath first. Well, he wasn't given a bath, but he was given his limitless wealth. And he went to the nearest town, and he got himself a bath and a shave and a manicure. He went to the tailor, the grandest suit of clothes made. He went and he bought a magnificent carriage, and he hired 30 dragoons as escorts. And he went to the town of his betrothed. And he bought the great estate and the great castle outside. And he made it known that he was looking for a wife. And he went from house to house until he came to his old friend's house. And of course, no one recognized him. And he went in and he said, I'm looking for a wife. And the 2 daughters simpered. And he said, I don't know. Have you not got another girl? I have one girl, but she is, bring her in. And they brought this other girl in, and the 2 elder daughters were a bit annoyed that this little mousy daughter was perhaps going to be shown preference. But when the other daughter came in, he looked at her and she looked at him, and she didn't know. But he took his necklace off and he took hold of her necklace. And the 2 gold coins saying Beauty and the Beast were united again. And she was so, so happy. I'm afraid her 2 sisters were not very happy, though. One of them went out and hung herself from the apple tree, and the other one went and drowned herself in the pond. After the wedding, when he was out in the woods one day, he saw his friend in the green coat, who waved at him and said, well, 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 Bearskin, I didn't get your soul, but I got 2 souls instead. It's a difficult thing, making a bargain with the devil. Well, those 2 lived happily ever after. Now, my lovely, beautiful friends, I'm sure your eyes are beginning to sink low, and you're beginning to feel a little tired and sleepy. And Sam will now sing you to sleep. And I am going to say, because I am not going to say any more tonight, because I may well go to sleep in my chair here, I'm going to say night night to you and sweet dreams. Sing us a song, Sam.
With pleasure. Thank you. And thank you all for listening and entering into this lullaby state. This song is here to take you into the dream time. So I implore you to close your eyes and just curl up a little bit tighter on your duvets.
Shall we give everyone a kiss, do you think, first, just before they go to sleep?
That's a very lovely idea.
I'm going to give you a kiss. So, here you are. Night, night, sweetest of sweet dreams. Mwah. Night, night.